Hi, I'm Carrie the vegan. I carry around my oil pot. Would you like some coconut oil?
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel.
Today we are responding to a news article from the BBC. This was sent to us as a request. It's called Why I Gave Up Being Vegan. Very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. And remember that the BBC is regarded by some as a reputable news source, so we'll see.
We'll see, indeed. Now, I have read the article, I've chopped it up, we've picked out what we're going to respond to.
I haven't read it, so this will be my raw reaction.
Yes.
I did, however, overhear you reading through the article in your head and then just laughing out loud, so...
I was literally, I'm just like, oh my God, Luca, I can't believe what I'm reading. We have to respond to this. So
let's take a look.
It's pretty funny.
John Nicholson and his partner became vegans in 1984 at the age of 23 when living on a farm in the north of Scotland. But 26 years later, the couple decided to return to eating meat for what they believed was the good of their health. I suffered from IBS for 17 years, said John. Every time I ate, my stomach would get distended and it would be like a shelf you could put your glass on.
You think you might take a look at something, you know, over 17 years, if that was the case. You might want to look into things and reassess your diet, maybe try taking out some things, adding some things in. I think what a lot of people do is they throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, oh, I'm bloated, vegan diet doesn't work for me, therefore I'll go straight back to eating animal products.
Although he didn't go straight back, did he? It took him 17 years.
Yeah, well, you know, like, why didn't you experiment and see what was going on? Maybe you couldn't digest beans, or maybe grains were too hard for you, but you could stick to potatoes or, you know, something like just kind of experiment.
Yeah, like whole plant foods are sort of species specific, but within that people have different, you know, sensitivities. Like I'm not good with corn and quinoa, for example. And you're not so great with some whole grains these days.
Exactly.
So anything I ate would then leave me very quickly, and some days it was so bad that I couldn't leave the house.
What was he eating? That used to happen to me with dairy. That would just go right through me.
He also started to put on a lot of weight, standing at 5 feet 10 inches or 1.78 metres tall, but weighing 15 stone, and had the highest cholesterol in North Yorkshire, according to his GP.
Really? The highest cholesterol as a vegan?
Yeah.
What was this guy eating? Now, 15 stone is 95 kilos or 210 pounds. So he was overweight. But, you know, you can be overweight or underweight on any diet. It depends on what you're eating exactly, and how much you're eating, and, you know, is he exercising? So we don't know the particulars of what John was doing. The cholesterol.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, people can be genetically predisposed to have a high baseline cholesterol score. So that is a possibility for John. I guess that can be influenced then by dietary cholesterol and dietary saturated fat. Of course, a vegan diet is cholesterol free. However, it's not saturated fat free, particularly one that's based around whole plant foods is typically low in saturated fat because most whole plant foods are lower in saturated fat. However, one that's more processed can be higher in saturated fat, and that is going to have an effect on one's total cholesterol score.
Yeah, so again, without knowing exactly what he was eating, it's hard to say. But if he did have a genetic condition which made him more susceptible to high cholesterol, then by default he should be eating a plant-based diet that revolved around whole plant foods that is cholesterol free and low in saturated fat. So it doesn't really make sense, especially to say that he had the highest cholesterol in North Yorkshire compared to all the other people eating animal products. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
The impact was almost immediate. Within 48 hours, John started to feel better and his IBS all but disappeared. And for his partner, there was a marked improvement.
So within 48 hours, you're starting to eat the flesh of somebody else's body. All of a sudden your IBS just disappeared.
Perhaps it wasn't the introduction of the animal products into John's diet that made him see an improvement in his digestion. Perhaps it was simply the elimination of a particular plant food or combination of plant foods that weren't agreeing with his digestive system. So
it's not what he was putting in, but what he was taking out, possibly.
Perhaps. And also, I wonder what they think they were missing from plant foods that they could only find in animal foods.
That's
because all of the nutrients are found in the plant kingdom, and that's where the animals get them from, and then we just simply filter those nutrients through the animals' bodies and their secretions when we are, consuming animal products.
Yeah. John is an author of a book called The Meat Fix. And the description of the book says...
He was a walking advert for healthy eating. brown rice, lentils, tofu, fruit, vegetables, low fat and low cholesterol.
So this is great because now finally we find out what John was apparently eating.
Wow.
So he had all of these problems from predominantly whole plant foods.
Now the alarm bells are really going off, given that whole plant foods have been scientifically shown, according to the best available balance of evidence, to be health promoting.
Yeah, exactly. So in the battle of good food versus bad, he should have been on the winning side. You'd think
That's
so,
right.
wouldn't
That's what the
you?
science says.
But the exact opposite was
Oh,
true.
wow, okay.
His diet was making him ill, really ill.
Wow. Joint pain, tick. Exhaustion, tick. Chronic IBS and piles,
Tick,
tick,
tick.
tick. Not to mention the fat belly and the sky-high cholesterol. His mind may have...
How do you have sky-high cholesterol when you're not eating cholesterol?
Unless it was he was genetically predisposed to having a extremely high baseline cholesterol.
Which would be even higher now that he's eating cholesterol and saturated fat from animals.
Yeah.
So
Because regardless of how high your baseline cholesterol score is due to genetics, foods that contain dietary cholesterol and dietary saturated fat have been scientifically shown to raise total cholesterol score. So
it just doesn't make sense. After he introduced a lot of meat in his diet, the results were spectacular. 24 hours later, he felt better. After 48 hours, he was fighting fit.
Fighting fit in 2 days. Wow.
12 months on, he had become a new person.
Oh.
You know what, Luca? I think he should write a book and sell it to so many people out there that need his help, because no one's already eating meat, are they? No, they're not eating meat. Everyone's already vegan. We've all got problems, and we should listen to John and eat more meat and reverse everything and be a new person.
Exactly. Discard the best available balance of science showing us that plant-based diets are optimal for human health, and let's go with John's anecdotal evidence, which seems to have some flaws potentially here.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So we clicked on John's bio just to find out a little bit more about him. And John's a little confused because here he says 26 vegetarian years.
Oh!
Now hold up, John, hold up.
Hang on a second.
The article from the BBC says you were vegan. Why I no longer eat vegan. But here in his description under his book, he's saying he was vegetarian for 26 years.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Huge
difference. So
vegetarians eat dairy and eggs, both of which are high in saturated fat and cholesterol.
Now his book description doesn't say that he ate dairy and eggs.
No, it doesn't.
So it's just nothing is adding up here. It's not. What I personally think...
Big glaring inconsistency there. Huge.
Huge. Now, I personally think, obviously the word vegan is the flavour of the month. It gets good clicks.
Yeah,
it gets
vegetarians
good views.
like the 80s, isn't it?
It's nothing. But vegan is the buzzword. So they've used vegan in the title.
Wow.
They've used vegan in this article. Who knows if this guy was a vegan or even a vegetarian? He could have just eaten meat his whole life and he's still talking absolute BS. I don't know. But what I do know is that there are a lot of inconsistencies.
That one being the biggest. That's huge. When you have been a vegan for 26 years, okay, so now it's vegan, before it was vegetarian, it becomes part of your identity.
So why did you say you were vegetarian in the bio under your book? If it's your identity, 26 years, I don't understand.
Yeah. The pair are still against industrial farming practices and ethically source their meat from farms, choosing free-range and organic produce.
Well, we strongly suggest that they watch The Land of Hope and Glory, which is based on UK farming, which is where John and his partner are from. It is one big lie. It is a myth. There is no such thing as ethically sourced meat, dairy and eggs.
How do you ethically kill somebody who wants to live?
Yeah.
I think about what my grandma would have said to people being vegan, said John. She would have called it self-indulgent nonsense. Wow.
I tell you what.
That's amazing. The most altruistic lifestyle perhaps that one can lead.
Yeah.
That, benefits other people. The
lives
of animals,
the planet.
of course, first and foremost, and the planet.
But ironically, what is
self-indulgent
nonsense is this absolute BS thinking that you can eat free-range animal products. That is what is self-indulgent nonsense. Nonsense because it's not true, and self-indulgent because we cannot feed the entire world based on that kind of farming practices, and that is actually worse for the environment. So it is a very small, wealthy, privileged,
deluded
minority who thinks that they can eat these kind of organic free-range products That's what's self-indulgent.
Yeah. And we used to be those self-indulgent people.
Absolutely, yeah. We had no idea.
Yeah, eating the organic, farmed meats and what have you.
Yes. All right, on to the next person in this BBC article. Estelle has been a vegan for 8 years before she made the switch back to eating meat.
Little did she know it would also seem to help her health problems.
Of course.
I became a bag of nerves whenever I went out and could barely speak to people, just clinging to my then boyfriend all night, she said. Wow.
So, she's already vegetarian, you take dairy and eggs out of your diet and you become a bag of nerves and you can't speak to people because you eat fruit and vegetables and grains? Wow.
I'm speechless. I didn't make the connection with diet, and so I stuck with it because ethically I felt so much better not supporting the animal food industry, and I had convinced myself that it was a healthy diet. Well, no one needs to convince you. The best available balance of scientific evidence is saying that plant-based diets are optimal for human health. So, since then, my health has improved hugely and my anxiety has completely gone, said Estelle.
So, eating the flesh of an animal that has suffered, that has been tortured, that is so scared at the time of its death.
Irrespective of how it's been raised, at the time that knife goes to its throat, it is petrified.
But eating that body
relieved your anxiety and depression. Interesting. From an ethical point of view, I wish I could live without animal products, but I no longer believe that a vegan diet is a healthy one. My body just can't cope with it.
Now, I think this is interesting because I think that it's very hard to argue the ethical side against veganism, but it is much easier to argue the health side by pulling out these anecdotal stories of people who, God knows what they were eating, who they are, if they're real people.
And also because the animal products industry funds bogus studies to, show results that they know ahead of time. The dairy industry is very good at doing this and have been doing it for a couple of decades now, simply because they want to create confusion and doubt in the consumer's mind. Because if that's all they have to do, because then everyone will just eat everything in moderation because, I've seen a study that says this causes this and
And then they read articles like this and you hear about all of these people that were sick and, and then you get to the end of the article. No one ever reads to the end of the article. But, by the way, the NHS in this article says that, yes, vegans should be able to get all the nutrients they need if they eat a varied and balanced
This
diet.
reminds me of another article where they put this little thing in right down the bottom, you remember?
Yeah, exactly. Then they finally bring in a vegan.
Carrie said she has never felt better with improved digestion and a feeling that she is sharper and calmer.
Good.
Carrie now has to check menus more and carry around a pot of coconut oil to use as butter. What?
Hands up, vegans, if you carry around a pot of coconut oil to replace butter. This is the bit I was laughing at. You've got to be joking. This is why I don't think these people are real, because no one does that. I've never met or heard any vegan doing that. That is ridiculous. They're trying to make it seem so
fringe, freakish, impossible.
Because look, who wants to check menus? No one wants to.
I just want to order and just eat and just enjoy and just.
I don't want to stand out.
Think
I don't
about
want to check menus. And who wants to carry? I feel like you've got this image in my mind of Winnie the Pooh carrying this pot of honey. Hi, I'm Carrie the vegan. I carry around my oil pot. Would you like some coconut oil? Hey, Piglet, want some coconut oil?
Oh, that's great.
So they make her out to be a bit of a freak.
Yeah.
Then
when first making the change, she also admitted she felt very tired and had to have B12 vitamin patches to balance the system out. But it works like a charm, said Carrie, much better than coffee. So you just need to supplement B12 as a vegan. The animals are receiving B12 supplements either via their feed or injections anyway. So why not just take a supplement yourself rather than filtering that supplement through the animal's body?
But interesting how they had to put that. So now you've got you're going to have to check menus. You're going to have to carry around a pot of coconut oil, and you will have to have a supplement.
Yeah.
It's like, it can be healthy, but these are the things that you're going to have to do. Yeah. Come on. So. That's the article and our response.
The absurdities are finished. Thank God they're over.
It's over, yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are these people real? Are these stories real? Do you believe it?
What do you think about the inconsistencies? Was John vegetarian or was he vegan?
Was he always a meat eater and is he just in it to sell some books?
Leave your comments down below, guys. Like the video, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Make sure you ding that bell and check the box to receive notifications every time we upload a new video.
And remember until next time that going vegan is not the most we can do.
It's the least we can do and you don't have to carry around your pot of coconut oil. See you next video, guys.
Bye, guys.